Hello, team. Welcome to another ATP geopolitics video. Very late one, 1 o'clock in Ukraine. I'm going to go through just some last minute, not some last minute, some backlog loss lists from Andrew Perpetua, clearing the last of the January ones before we get up to date really with what's going on a daily basis. This is January the 15th, 16th, and 17th. If you're not interested in geeky stats analysis, these videos aren't for you. But if you want to know what sort of equipment was lost in those in that time frame on those days, then obviously stay tuned. So we'll start with the 15th here. We have 98 personnel losses, 127 for the 16th and 135 for the 17th. Categorically lost there. With regard to the different losses for Ukraine and Russia, we don't have the Ukrainian losses put on the initial screen grab from Andrew, so I think he's missed off the Ukrainian ones. We compare the two, it's clear. You can see as it gets bigger here in terms of the text that the Ukrainians have lost less than the Russians on that particular day, and the combat asset losses for the Russians are really quite substantial there. An awful lot of infantry fighting vehicles and a couple of air defense systems as well. But we'll go to Ukrainians first. We have an AS-90, the UK provided self-propelled gun there that's destroyed, and then M777, M119 damaged, D30 as well, and another old Russian one destroyed. Engineering vehicle destroyed, a boat damaged, a couple of tanks including a Leopard 2A4 taken out, the Leopard 2A4 abandoned, then hit by Vandal drone. So that's a real shame. Quite a few Leopard 2s have been lost over the last month, really. That's a bit of a worry for the Ukrainians. Then we have about 5 APCs, including captured NTLB. Not too much to worry about there. Old Soviet bit of kit. 3 M113s, a Striker, and a Kozak, Humvee, across a number of categories, either destroyed or damaged, but nothing too severe for the Ukrainians there. Quite a few civilian vehicles taken out. For the Russians, though, quite substantial losses, including a 51P6 launcher, the S-400, taken out by Gimlers, guided multiple launch rockets, so something like an ATACMS or similar. That is a big loss. That's destroyed, and a Tor M1 destroyed as well. So a couple of really heavy losses for the Russians there. Engineering vehicles, 2 of those taken out. We've got a boat destroyed. We have a captured Ural with a ZU-23-2, so that's like a auto cannon type thing on the back of a truck. It's been captured by the Ukrainians. I don't know where that was. Actually, that was from a long time back. That's obviously been spotted. It's now been clocked on the system. That's from 2022. We have 4 pieces of artillery, D30s, destroyed or abandoned. And when we look at the losses of the combat asset pieces going from the tanks downwards, you can see that virtually all but 2, and there is 40 pieces of kit here, maybe more, I don't know, 40 bits of kit, only 2 of them damaged. Everything else is destroyed or abandoned. Really bad ratio of losses there for the Russians. Okay, so we've got half a dozen tanks, including a couple of T-80s, a track guard and shed. Nothing too much to write about. A lot of BMD2s and BMP2s, and a few BMP3s as well. I've been noticing that BMP3s are taking up a larger proportion of the losses, although not crazy on this day. This is going back previously, though, to what my observations have been over the last few days. So this is backdated, so you might not see as many BMP3s given the speculation I was making earlier today, but still there's a few in there. AFVs, 4 of those, sort of nondescript vehicles, and then some APCs, about 7 of those, all of them destroyed. Captured truck there, some ATVs, some quads, a lot of motorcycles abandoned as they've been hit there, and yeah, so on and so forth. So a fairly bad day for the Russians, especially with regard to an S-400 being taken out, and a Tor M1 as well. Now, when we go on to the oh no, wrong day there. Oh goodness me. What I gave you there was the 16th and not the 15th. So let's go back one day. My bad. I gave you the second day first. It doesn't really matter though. The point is we're going through all of these. Now we look at the. So sorry. This is now the 15th properly. We see about 2-1 loss of Russian to Ukrainian losses. If we look at the Ukrainian losses first, we have an electronic warfare system, some artillery pieces, including a damaged 2S-22 Bogdana. That's the indigenously constructed self-propelled gun. Surprised we haven't seen more of those taken out recently, because they are making them at a greater rate than they ever have done. So, nonetheless, there's one there at a full piece of artillery, a couple of tanks. Nothing too serious. T-64 thrown in, a few infantry fighting vehicles, a few APCs, Bushmaster MRAP, that's an Australian provided one, VAB French provided APC, a few bits and pieces, nothing too serious in the losses for the Ukrainians there. The Russians losing quite a lot more stuff. If we go to the start of the list, we have a Strela 10 short-range air defense system destroyed, so it's another air defense loss there. Artillery here, quite a lot of D30s and M46, really old not self-propelled gun, really old towed howitzer there, and some other bits of kit. Tanks, there's about 8 tanks here. Half of them destroyed. We've got a tank with mine rollers damaged. We've got T80, T62, T72, etc., etc. And then about 20 infantry fighting vehicles, maybe a bit less than that, maybe about 17 or so. Almost all of them destroyed or abandoned, so really bad losses for the Russians in that category. Mainly BMP 2s and 3s and a couple of BMP 1s as well. And then a lot of civilian losses too. So again, just a large volume of Russian losses. We're going to go on to the third day now. I'll get the day right. So this is the 17th. And we look at both nations' losses, and Ukrainians losing half what the Russians have. So 2-1 ratio yet again. Ukrainians losing command and control vehicle, as we saw on, I think it was the 21st, I think. They lost an M577, so it's another one lost there. That'll hurt a little bit. A recovery vehicle. And then we have some artillery pieces, 5 infantry fighting vehicles, all BMPs. So that's interesting. Not new Western provided kit, but old Soviet stuff. A T-64 single tank destroyed. Some APCs, only 3 there. A couple of M113s, captured MRAP and Max Pro, and then other than that, so a couple of other Max Pros and Oshkosh, so Western provided MRAPs. It's not surprising, and some Western infantry mobility vehicles, but nothing too crazy from that list of kits, and a fair bit, well, not a fair, some civilian vehicles as well. Nothing really too much to worry about. Okay, the Russian losses outstripping the Ukrainian losses. Nothing crazy valuables such as air defense systems or planes or anything like that. We do have 2 command and control systems damaged here, both by FPV drones from the summer, but they've only just been recognized now, so sort of backdated ones thrown in. We've got a couple of engineering vehicles, a few bits of artillery, including 240 millimeter self-propelled mortar there, the Tulpan, as it is known. Where I don't know what's happened, suddenly disappeared where I was. So let's find the original list. There we go. So we go back to there. We've got that, Tulpan there. So 240 millimeter self. Oh, what are you doing? It's what happens when you can't feel your fingers. Okay. Tanks. We have about 10 tanks, T-72s, a lot of track garden sheds on the list there, 4 out of the 10, which may indicate that the Russians are struggling to really to gather enough APCs, probably more than anything, not really needing tanks so much, so turning tanks into these vehicles with corrugated iron and sheet metal and whatnot. welded on top to make it look like almost like a garden shed. That allows them to hide troops underneath. They can't use the turrets, and they send them often at the vanguard of a column of vehicles to attack the Ukrainians, basically glorified APCs. Um, we've got four infantry fighting vehicles, um, pretty old. Well, BMP 2s and 3s, not BMP 1s, which would be pretty old. Um, yeah, and usual kind of mix of civilian vehicles, a lot of them destroyed, though, worth noting. A number of motorcycles again, golf buggy. So, sort of things you expect to see if the Russians were having to use suboptimal equipment to do their attacks. That's kind of what we see there. But quite a few tanks on the list on that day. So, over the 3 days, some air defense losses for the Russians. That's going to hurt. And just a massive equipment that is more than the Ukrainians have lost themselves. So some fairly challenging days at the office for the Russians, but they seem to be able to throw, continue to throw things, bits of kit, equipment at the Ukrainians, including, as we hear today, getting more self-propelled artillery from the North Koreans. And there is news that they're also expecting more North Korean troops to be sent to Kursk as well as reinforcement. So definitely challenging there. But the Ukrainians are doing a pretty good job still of attriting the Russian equipment at a ratio that is still advantageous for the Ukrainians. Is it enough? Is it 3-1? No, it's not. Um, but certainly just a massive Russian equipment still being taken out. Anyway, take care. Speak to you guys soon. Really appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, and share. It's really important that I get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of my time in Ukraine, because then I will clap everyone that I'm here with on the back, congratulate them for being awesome, and maybe treat them to a vodka or something. Because when in Rome and all that. Anyway, take care, everybody. Speak soon.